Okay everyone, this is a video covering the pretest problems. I've selected some problems that were missed the most. So we'll spend about 15 or 20 minutes on this pretest covering these problems, reviewing these problems, and hopefully that'll help you out for your final. Alright, taking a look at problem number 3. It says to change the improper fraction to a mixed number or a whole number. So the key here is make sure you simplify your answer. The first part of this, to change an improper fraction to a mixed number, we're going to use long division. So we'll start off with 56 into 304. Okay. Now 56 will go into 304 about 5 times. It won't go into 3, it won't go into 30, but it'll go into 304 about 5 times. Take that 5 and we'll multiply it times the 56 over here. So 5 times 56 is 280. Now we would subtract this to find our remainder. We have a remainder of 24. So this number up here will be my whole number for my improper fraction. So 5. My remainder will be my numerator, 24 over 56. Now the problem here is that 24 over 56 is not fully simplified. So I need to go through here and simplify this. By that I mean that we can divide both of these numbers by, let's say, 2. And that will cut that down to 12 over 28. But it's still not fully simplified because we have numbers that are going to both 12 and 28. We can divide both of those by 4. And that will give us 3 over 4. So our final answer would be 5 3/4. So make sure you simplify your fractions when you're working those problems. Okay. Number 4, in order to multiply mixed numbers, you need to convert those mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 5 7/5, 5 times 7 is 35, plus 5 is 40 over 7. And then 1 1/4, 4 times 1 is 1, plus 1 more gives us 5 over 4. So I'm multiplying 40 over 7 times 5 over 4. Again, my instructions tell me to simplify my answer, submit as a whole number, proper fraction, or a mixed number. So I like to simplify before I multiply. So if there's a common factor between a numerator and a denominator, then we can divide that out. So here, between 4 and 40, 4 will go into both of those numbers. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 40 divided by 4 is 10. So I can divide 4 out of each one of those numbers. And then continue with my multiplication. So now I have 10 times 5 is 50. 7 times 1 is 7. Well, that would be okay, but that's an improper fraction. My directions ask for a proper fraction or a mixed number or a whole number. So I need to come out here and convert this into a mixed number. Remember, an improper fraction has the larger number on top. So I need to convert this into a mixed number. 7 going to 50 7 times. Subtract that, remainder 1. So remember, this top number is my whole number, 7 and 1/7. My remainder is my numerator. So that would be my answer for that one. Remember, you can pause this video anytime you need to. Okay, number 5. Chandra's baking a cake for a dinner party. The recipe calls for 1/5 cup of sugar for the frosting and 9/10 cup for the cake. How many total cups? It means we need to add those two together. Now remember, in order to add fractions, you must have a common denominator. In order to add or subtract fractions, we must have a common denominator. So the common multiple, the first number that 5 and 10 will go into, is 10. So I can rewrite those fractions where my denominators will be 10. Well, this first fraction started off at 5. In order to make that into 10, I had to multiply by 2. So to keep that fraction equivalent, I need to multiply the top by 2 also. So that's 2/10. My second fraction already had a denominator of 10, so I'm going to leave it like it is. Now I can add these together. 2 plus 9 is 11 tenths. My direction says to type as a whole number or a simplified fraction. My fraction is simplified. Simplified means I can't divide, or 11 and 10 don't have any common factors. So that is simplified. Okay. Subtraction. Again, when we're adding and subtracting fractions, we must have a common denominator. So my denominators this time are 15 and 3. The first number that 15 and 3 will go into is 15. So this first mixed number fraction will stay just like it is. The second fraction changed. My denominator changed from 3 to 15. I had to multiply by 5 to get that 15. So I'm going to come back up here and multiply the 1 by 5 also. So now I can subtract. 11 minus 5 is 4/15. 20 minus 19 is 1. Type as a whole number, proper number, or mixed number. Well, I have a mixed number here, and it is simplified. There's nothing that will go into 4 and 15. So that will be my answer. Okay. All right, number 7 says round to the nearest tenth. So the tenths place is the first digit to the right of the decimal. This 2 right here. That's my tenths place. So I'll look to the digit next to it on the right side of it, and if that digit is 5 or higher, then I'll round the 2 that's in the tenths place up. But since it's smaller than 5, I'm going to leave that 2 like it is, and my answer will be 7.2. Okay. Insert a less than or greater than symbol between the given pair of integers. All right. Now we must remember that as a negative number gets larger, the value of the number decreases. So negative 18 compared to negative 12, negative 18 will be less than negative 12. The small point of the inequality should be facing the number that's smaller. So that will be the symbol to represent less than. Okay, number 12. 3 times negative 6 times negative 4 times 0 times negative 3. Right here we have all multiplication, and the key here is that 0. So since this is all multiplication and I have something being multiplied by 0, 0 times anything is 0. So my answer would simply be 0. Okay. Number 13, perform the indicated operations in the proper order. If you have both multiplication and division in your problem, you would perform the operations from left to right. So looking at this, I have negative 6 divided by negative 2 times 6. So the first thing that I would do is to divide the negative 6 divided by the negative 2, because that's the operation that comes first. If you have both multiplication and division in your problem, you go from left to right. So when I divide those two, negative 6 divided by negative 2, that would give me a positive 3. So now I'm left with 3 times 6, and 3 times 6 would be a positive 18. Okay, solve for the variable. I have some number minus 12 equals 26. Well, to find out what this number is, I can add 12 back to it. And that tells me that that number y is equal to 38. 38 minus 12 equals 26. Number 15, I have 0.1 times a number equals 7. So since I have 0.1 times a number equals 7, I can divide by 0.1. Okay, so 7 divided by 0.1, if you calculate that in your calculator, that would give you 70. If you don't use a calculator, you can move your decimal in each place. We can make this into a whole number by moving our decimal over one place, which means I would have to move my decimal over one place up here. and that will become 70 over 1, or just 70. Okay. To change a number to a percent, we want to multiply by 100 to change a number into a percent. So any number that it is, we can multiply by 100 to change it into a percent. So 272 over 100, if I take that and multiply it by 100, and let's make this in the fraction form, so 100 over 1. Well, the first thing that I see I can do is to simplify, because I have a 100 in my denominator and a 100 in my numerator. So I can divide those, each one of those, by 100. So that will give me 272 times 1 over 1. 272 times 1 is 272. 1 times 1 is 1, or 272%. Remember, percent means per 100. So if that number is already over 100, then we should come out with whatever our numerator is. Okay, a baker discovered that 51 out of 100 loaves had gone stale. What percent of loaves had gone stale? So again, that's 51 out of 100. Percent really means per 100. So I could really go ahead and write my answer as 51%. But if I want to make sure I do it correctly or check my work, then I'm going to multiply it by 100. And just like on number 16, those 100s will cancel out because I have a 100 in my numerator and a 100 in my denominator. So I end up with 51%. Okay, same thing on number 18. To change a number into a percent, we're going to multiply it by 100. And since I'm working with a fraction, I'll multiply by 100 over 1. Now I like to simplify if I can before I multiply. And right here I know that 10 will go into 100. 10 will go into 10 once. 10 will go into 100 10 times. So I have 9 over 1 times 10 over 1, which is 90 over 1, or just 90%. Okay, and same thing on number 19. We have 27 over 40. I want to write this as a percent. Now make sure you pay attention to your directions. It says type as a whole number, decimal, rounded to the nearest hundredth if needed. Hundredth means 2 digits after the decimal if you need to round it that far. Okay, so I'm going to take this and multiply it by 100 over 1. I see that I can simplify this, but let's say that you don't simplify it and you go ahead and you multiply it out. You would end up with 2700 over 40. Now since I want this as a decimal, I can go ahead and divide this out of my calculator, or you can do longhand division, and 2700 divided by 40 will give you 67.5%. So the key to all of those problems was to multiply by 100. To change a number to a percent, multiply by 100. Okay, last problem. It says, what is the sales tax on a suit priced at $400 if the sales tax is 7%? All right, so to find the tax amount, we would take the base and multiply by the rate over 100, or you could go ahead and change that 7% into a decimal if you choose to. All right, so the amount, or we'll call it T for tax, would be 400 times 7 over 100. All right, so let's go ahead and make that 400 to 400 over 1 since I placed this here in fraction form. So some of you may multiply before you simplify, and that's fine. So 400 times 7 is 2800. 1 times 100 is 100. And I see here that both of these end in double zero. That means that I could divide both of these by 100 to simplify them. Now I have 28 over 1, or simply $28. Okay, I hope that you found those examples to be helpful to you, and remember that your final good study place for your final will be your sorry about that, your pretest. So go and check that out. Review this video again if you need to, and good luck.